Good morning. This is the
Hi, Mike. Sorry.
Stockbridge Bowl Stewardship Commission meeting at 8 o'clock. I'd like to open the meeting, and we have minutes from 9/17/21. Any corrections or adjustments? I sent them out. No? A motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, great. Thank you. Updates, would you like to give an update on the Zebra Mussel Station, the boat launch, your meeting on Thursday?
Well, everything's fine at the boat launch. We've been manned and we will be manned until the 11th of this month, at which time it's going to be completely shut down, and sometime after that, we'll move the washer down to.
Yep.
Okay. Yesterday, we had a meeting with some people from Pittsfield, specifically from Lake Anota, and Jim McGrath, the harbor master at Pittsfield. We were down at the boat launch. They wanted to see what our operation looked like, because I guess they're quite a bit behind us. They're using public boat washing as a means to clean the boats when needed, and it seems not to be working up to their satisfaction. I explained to them, the history of how we got started and how we're doing and how many boats we see. We average about 6,000 boats a year, launches a year. A lot of these are car top boats. They do about half of that in both their lakes. So we have a whole lot more activity than they do. But, and I explained to them a lot of our success is due to public acceptance and education. And they seem to feel that might not work in Pittsfield because of the different demographic up there. So the one thing that did come out of the meeting that might benefit us is a sharing of information, especially if we can get it computerized about boats that are coming out of Laurel Lake, with a trailer number or boat number, so that if we suspect somebody is coming into Stockbridge Bowl, our inspectors can get online, go on and check and see what boats were washed coming out of Laurel Lake, very recently. Other than that, everything is fine over there. I'm going to be pulling out the test markers today, and possibly the docks over in the island too. Other than that, everything's fine.
Great.
It's cold, that's all.
Any questions for Gary?
One other, is Mike Nathan on?
No.
Okay, well, I've got the GPS coordinates of the 6 test marker sites. So I'll send them to you, Buff, and I'll send them to Mike Nathan to make sure that, they're spread out.
Thank you.
Yeah, could you also send those to Michael Canales?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you have
Can I make a comment, Jamie, about that? I think that it's a very interesting observation that Gary just made, that the 2 lakes in the biggest city in the Berkshires see less than half the number of boats that the Stockbridge Bowl does. I think it speaks to the importance and the popularity of the bowl, and I think it underlines the importance of this committee on that level alone.
Thank you, Charlie. I was just going to ask Gary about that. That are the numbers like double the other lakes, or?
Yes.
It is.
We have an awful lot of car top boats that come in.
Okay.
But they do too up there, but he says they have quite a few heavy boats, on trailers that are coming in for fishing derbies and things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, we have a lot of boats, although this year, I don't know what the count's going to be. I don't think it's going to be 6,000, but it's going to be something up above 5.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Gary. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Michael Buffoni, do you want to talk about the water testing or anything
Yep,
happened in your department?
We went out yesterday and did the sampling. We had to wait for the bottles to get shipped from Connecticut, and it took a little bit, but we went out yesterday. The thermocline and the turbidity layer and whatnot has moved up to 6 meters, which is 18 feet. We usually see that at 30. And our Secchi disc reading was only 10 feet, so the water's pretty cloudy. We did all our samples. I sent a picture to Chris Main of my data that I write down. I took a picture of it with my phone and texted it right to him while we were out there. I never got a response from him. I'll try to touch base with him today to see what his opinion is, but it's definitely come up, so.
Mike, I have a question.
Sure.
When you say it's usually a 30, is that this time of the year?
Yeah. It
Okay,
usually stays down. It usually stays right around 10 meters, which is 30 feet. And
Okay.
this is the first year we've really seen it
okay.
climb that high.
Is it a temperature, like the temperature of the water, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole, that whole thing that Mr. Cortman explained, certain temperatures and weather
Oh, weather conditions.
conditions
Okay.
prompt all that. And then that's, when it comes up is when we get that big bloom, but thankfully it stayed away for the Josh, and the water was 64 degrees at the top, I think. So it's not many people are going to be out there enjoying water sports now. So if it does decide to bloom,
So do we have algae at the surface, or where is the algae at this point? What's the,
at the
at the thermocline
at the 6
still?
meters, yeah.
Okay, so it's still not
Oh, yeah,
buoyant,
Yeah.
hasn't come all the way up. Okay.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
So all the samples Mark brought the ones up to Pittsfield to be sent off to Cortman's office from FedEx, and I met the courier out in Westfield as usual, and I did get a next round of bottles for October, and I think we'll try to do one in November as well. I think that we did last year. I don't know if what this was, did they only come out, GZA come out twice, this spring, first one, and then July, right?
Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
So I think we're on board with Chuck to get us out for sure in October for next month, and then hopefully November will work with him still having his boat in the water. Weather dependent, for sure.
yeah, it really depends on what happens, yep.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like to just thank Mike for doing all that testing. I think that's the beginning of really getting a better knowledge base about the bull. I would say that I don't think we have a long enough history of data to be sure about what is the usual condition of the lake. But as Mike said, the oscillatory is usually down at a lower level. Presumably this is all oscillatory, but I don't know. And Dr. Cortman has always predicted that in the winter, even under the ice, we could see a bloom of the oscillatory. And the good thing about having oscillatory, even though it's a potentially toxic cyanobacteria, the good thing about it is that it does that it blooms that way. If it's going to do it, it tends to come up later on after nobody's that interested in it, except maybe, you don't want to pull it up ice fishing, but the idea is it doesn't come up until nobody's really bothered by it. And if it keeps out the other stuff that comes up during the summer, we're in good shape. So I think that's a very, not that we want to have any cyanobacteria, but that would be a better way to have it done. But again, thanks, Mike, for your diligent staying with that and doing a good job with that. It's going to be a very useful thing. Once we have a couple of years of data under our belts, we're going to be able to even judge what happens during tumultuous years like this with all this rain.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing no one. Roxanne, would you like to give an update, if possible, on the lake management plan or information?
Sure. So I've been in communication with Stephen Roy, and basically what they're anticipating us doing is we've received this, and I've now printed copies for the people here. If someone wants a copy, I can make them available, paper copy, in town hall. But they would like us to go through this, and I think it's important that we all read through this very carefully. And then we need to get back together. This needs to be an agenda item where we sit down and we start discussing and defining for them to finalize this plan, what our goals and priorities are. Any other next steps, anything that we think is missing from here? One thing that I would like to see that I'm not seeing here, which typically is not included, but that is an assessment or an inventory of all the other wildlife within this ecosystem. I think it's important that we identify what's already there. And that's going to be a big task. It's going to take years to accomplish, but I think it's worth doing. Some of it's available. Fish species, for instance, are available. But do we know what insects that we are concerned about? Do we know, mollusks, crustaceans, et cetera? So I think over time, that's something I would like to see incorporated. But in the meantime, I'm thinking if we could put this on as an agenda item to set those goals and priorities for maybe our next meeting, that gives us 2 weeks to really go through this in detail, read it carefully, see what it says. There are some things that I detected in here that I wonder that this has changed because they're referring back to historical information. And one of the things is, I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but something that the Eurasian water milfoil was an issue. It was an impediment to like our species of fish, et cetera, something. And it's like, I don't believe that that's necessarily the case. We do not have this abundance of Eurasian water milfoil. It is not like it was 30 years ago. It's certainly much improved. So I think that there's some things that we're going to want to go through this and say, well, let's update some of these items in terms of what the assessment maybe is, or have some expert assess for us. What do you think the impact is on those species? So anyway, if we could do that, I would really appreciate it. And then we can move this along.
Sure. Thank you for doing this, Roxanne, and copying it and everything.
Yeah. I think I emailed everybody the inventory that Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife did probably last year. Remember, I asked for a records request or something to be released from them, and they sent that. And it listed all the species of fish and whatnot. And there might have been some mollusks in there, but I can't remember. But it was a pretty long report, I remember.
Yeah.
But
I mean, in terms of also the birds, and not just the birds that are here year round, but the migratory birds. Because there are plenty of migratory birds that this is a way station, this is a stopping point. It's a layover. So I think if all those things are identified, then we know what we want to keep an eye on over the long haul. This is if we suddenly don't see any Canada geese coming in, we know maybe we have a problem somewhere. Now, it may not be our problem, but it might be.
And does the 15th give everyone enough time to read it over and make notes?
Yeah.
You sure? Okay.
I think so.
Jamie,
Yeah.
could you make an electronic version of that paper and also maybe include what Mike sent out last year and send it around to everybody on the committee and have it available for anybody else who might be interested?
I have that, Jamie. so-
Okay, yeah,
And
Roxanne has a
I
copy.
think we may have all gotten this at some point. But I will make sure that I make a new digital of this,
Notes.
sans any other emails that were attached to it.
Send.
And if you don't have the division's report that I sent, I can resend it to you. I think I just saw it on my computer the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get that, Mike.
Was that about a year ago?
Yeah, I would say it was
All right, I'll
somewhere
look.
around there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. No, I can do that. Thank you, Charlie. Any other questions for Roxanne? On dredging, any information on dredging either with
I
Roxanne?
don't
or-
have Michael Nathan here. I just saw that I just got
That's okay,
an
but
email about this and I haven't had a chance to read it. But the permitting process was,
had started.
underway. So
Okay.
by the next meeting, I'm sure that Michael hopefully will be here, but I can give you an update. I didn't have a chance to read that yet. Just came.
That's perfectly okay. I just thought I'd put it on. And then I'm hoping Steve or someone from Parks and Rec may have arrived and they, no?
It's here.
All right, then we won't. Is there, so John had brought up about, oh wait, Charlie, do you have anything you want to share about Board of Health?
Well, the board was very pleased with the way the Josh Billings took place and the way it was managed around the lake. And I think that was a a coup for the town in general, because I've had heard so much positive feedback about how everybody thought the town pitched in to get that accomplished. And, we had all the, number of hurdles, including the harvester coming off and things like that. But I think everything really worked well. And I think that you guys all deserve a pat on the back for that. And so does the rest of the town. So the Board of Health, put in a little bit of effort there, but I think it was really the town that pushed that whole thing through, and it was a great play.
Well, I've got to say, I mean, the select board already made mention of this, but I think it's worth mentioning again, and it's our town departments, water and sewer, highway, police, emergency management, and fire, that all made sure that came off really well. So we were all very pleased, because I think that was an important event that needed to happen this year for everybody's psychological well-being. This is something that was a big positive for the community.
I agree. Anything, and Charlie, anything else?
Well, I'm just happy we didn't have a cyanobacteria bloom.
We all are.
John had brought up about, and maybe not for October, but maybe going forward in the winter months, meeting once a month, because it's icy and cold, and we have less to talk about. I mean, do you want to think about it and we can vote on it next?
Well, that is something that's actually defined in the bylaw. So the bylaw approvals are not back, but that is actually in the bylaw, that it's, beginning the winter months, it's once a month meetings. So it's defined, the
Okay.
schedule of meetings
And
within that bylaw.
what do we consider winter months? Do you know?
Certainly, probably, I don't remember. I'll have to go back and
That's
review
okay.
it. It was either November or December start
Okay.
date.
Okay,
And then start up again, I think it was twice a month, starting in April or May.
And if
okay.
Several
we
months.
need to, an emergency meeting could be called,
Exactly,
Right,
exactly.
Okay, perfect. All taken care of then. Anything else, guys?
Just
Oh,
one
go ahead.
thing. I have an underwater video camera that we can, make CDs off of if anybody needs it. I don't know if you guys need it, if you ever want to see what's going on down there.
Well, that's good to know, Gary.
Enough stuff to deal with out there.
Pat Kennelly mentioned yesterday that they needed to do some underwater, get some underwater pictures. So I just let her know we had that camera.
Okay.
Maybe I'll use an ice fishing.
Maybe you'll catch more. Anyone else? Then I make a motion to adjourn, and we meet next October 15th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
I